Hey nerds. There are very few games that I can honestly say scratch all of my serotonin itches, and Rimworld is one of those games. As of today, Rimworld has launched their latest expansion in the series, the Biotech expansion, available for download on Steam for $24.99 USD. I wanted to try out the expansion and let you know my thoughts in the event that you'd be thinking about adding it to your own collection. I also wanted to let you know that currently a good chunk of you are watching my videos, but you're not actually subscribed. If you do enjoy my content, I would really appreciate your subscription and comments on this video. I am currently working towards 1K subscribers, and I need nerds like you to help me do it. It's totally free, and we love free stuff, right? All right, onto the meat and potatoes. While considered an indie game, Rimworld is a rich, immersive, and incredibly replayable experience for anyone that enjoys construction and management simulations. Don't let the explosive comic-esque graphics fool you, though. This game can offer so much and in so many ways. I can literally spend days eyes glued to my computer, slowly turning red from a lack of blinking, trying to push my little colony along their path towards spaceflight and freedom. For full transparency, despite having many hours in this game, I've never actually beat it, even on the easiest of modes with the most merciful of narrators. This time, though, I wanted to show the game who's boss and up the difficulty because I'm a glutton for punishment and ultimately make questionable choices when it comes to games, and I chose to go with the adventure story path, and for added silliness and pain, I chose the Randy Random Narrator. This would be a choice I would probably soon regret. This girl is on fire! The main addition to the game that caused me to give Steam all my money at lightning speed was the fact that this expansion allows you to have babies. Yeah, babies. Who wouldn't want babies in their post-apocalyptic space management sim? Like I said, I'm a glutton for punishment, and the idea of added drama to already dramatic characters sounded delightful and exactly how I wanted to spend my Friday night. So I downloaded the game immediately after the purchase and went to work trying to build up the perfect colony of young and strong people who would be able to survive in the dangerous and random land that is Rimworld. The game started like every other Rimworld adventure, crash landing in a foreign land with 3 unique characters who must now work together to build a colony. For this run, we have Pi, Bryn, and Shield. Pi, 18, is our medic. Bryn, 27, is our genius who can just learn new skills real quick. And then we have Shield, 21, the ugliest man on the planet. I quickly got to work laying down the foundation of this new colony by first ensuring that we had reliable food resources. So I planted some rice, and I set aside a big chunk of land to be farmed for rice, and then set my sights on building our 3 adventurers a decent and respectable shelter using only the finest available wood, components, and steel. And what's the point of having a home if it doesn't come with air conditioning and heat, and maybe a few light bulbs since Pi's apparently scared of the dark? One of the aspects of Rimworld that I find most charming and occasionally annoying is the personality and preferences of the characters. I guess I could probably say that about real people too, but we're not going to get into that. Anyways, when trying to figure out how I wanted to arrange my sleeping quarters, I knew that at least one of my 3 adventurers was going to be the jealous type that wanted this big fancy bedroom, so I naturally had to make 3 big bedrooms and save the smaller and honestly awkwardly long bedrooms for future prisoners and the injured. I also knew that airflow is key here, so I made sure to add ventilation to all my rooms so that maybe, just maybe, cooling and heating wasn't going to be a total nightmare in the days to come. I usually do make everything out of wood, at least in the start, and I've been told that wood is more flammable, but honestly, I'm not sure that it really makes a difference. It seems like anything can catch fire in this game if it wants to, and that certainly was the theme for this particular colony. The first several days just consisted of non-stop thunderstorms and random bouts of fire, and naturally, Bryn refused to put out fires because she was the smartest of the group and therefore did not need to firefight with the peasants that surrounded her. This game likes to lull you into a false sense of security, and in the first days and months of the game, minus the random fires, most days were pretty smooth and very few challenges, and my adventurers just focused on their tasks and making the colony the best it could be through building and collecting resources, since, this is a management sim. After playing and failing at this game many times and honestly avoiding most tutorials on how to be good at the game, I'm finally taking the time to actually tame animals and build proper shelters so that I can breed them and either sell them for profit to traders, or should the crops not produce enough before the cold winter months, slaughter them for the greater good of the colony. Also, is it just me, or does it feel a little weird that the only way to make proper kibble in this game is to have a meat source, so sometimes you're forced to kill one of your herd to then create more kibble to ensure that the rest of the herd doesn't starve? Does this make me a bad person? Maybe. But there are worse things that I could probably do in Rimworld. Though my only focus on this current game, honestly, is just to get to a stage where babies are being made and I'm growing my colony. Ethics and morality are just sort of an afterthought. I also like to do this thing, and I don't know if it's silly, but it works well for me, where I build a giant fence around my base, and then I surround that fencing with traps so that anything that comes to attack me ends up hitting multiple traps before they can actually get to me. And I know that there are probably more efficient means of creating a kill box, but this was fairly easy for me and takes little to no time to make. Maybe as I play more, I'll get better at my strategy for overall protecting my base, but I'd really prefer my enemies to die outside before ever actually engaging with my adventurers, considering I usually end up with folks that have the aiming skills of a stormtrooper and the walking speed of a one-legged turtle. Oh look, more fires. Imagine that. This is really the story of my life in Rimworld. Build a base, feel confident, then get hit by random fire outbreaks that half my colony refuses to address. Luckily, this particular fire outbreak was manageable and didn't end up in me rage quitting the game. At this point, Bryn, Pi, and Shield were getting along fairly well, despite Bryn and Pi being repulsed by Shield's horrible appearance. They had managed to capture 3 individuals from 2 crashed pods and a third who was attacking the base at one point but was snagged and tossed into a prisoner's cell. Don't worry, all of their basic needs are being met. I was really hoping for some interesting skilled workers, but honestly, all 3 of the new recruits were just really heavy on mining and animal skills, and that's about it. So to the mines they go once they, have been broken and recruited into the colony, of course. I'm also hoping this increases my chances for babies, but we'll see. The winter months in this game can be fairly cruel, but the adventurers did do a good job of preparing with a decent stockpile of food and meats while ensuring that the base stays warm and cozy with wood-fueled generators and heaters spaced around. I usually try to get a better means of power source by this point, but with only 3 dedicated colonists, I didn't feel I had a ton of time to dedicate to research until the winter months actually hit. So Bryn is doing all the mental labor for the group now to try and research batteries and solar panels so that maybe we can stop relying so heavily on wood. I would love someday to have a completely self-contained colony where they don't really need to go outside for much, and eliminating the need for wood all the time would probably help with that. As a bit of a recluse myself in real life, I value having all of my needs met and all the things I need within my home, because let's face it, all the stuff that I like is here at my house, and there are far too many people outside that I just don't have the social battery to contend with, particularly in a grocery store or in any kind of line. If you are familiar with storytelling at all, then you should be somewhat familiar with the concept of a climax, no, not that kind, or an apex. This is meant to be the part of the story where something intense or exciting happens, and while Rimworld is often filled with things that are exciting, for me there is always a point in a playthrough that I can easily identify as a climax, the point of no return, the moment the outcome of the game is ultimately determined. After having captured my last prisoner, it turns out that they did have friends, and those friends were not thrilled with my actions, and so they chose to take the law into their own hands and proceed to attack and destroy my base. Remember that climax? Yeah. This is that moment. What did I say earlier about fire and it being the story of my life in Rimworld, or rather the story of my death? I'm pretty sure every failure playthrough, it has either been a fire or an angry squirrel that has ended the game for me. For a very brief moment, I honestly thought that maybe this could be salvageable and maybe I could still build up a colony and try out the new babies included in this latest expansion pack, but as my resources and furniture burned and my prisoners succumbed to extreme heat and smoke, I realized that this was in fact going to be the end of this playthrough. At least all of my tamed animals would be free and roam back out into the wilds of Rimworld once more, never again forced to eat kibble made of their brethren. Are you mad at me that I never actually got to the whole point of this video, or the babies in the expansion pack, but instead you sat and watched as I violently failed in under 10 minutes or so. You should tell me just how angry you are in the comments. The engagement helps. And if you want to remember to come back and critique how I play this game, drop a subscribe and get notified when more potentially infuriating playthroughs of Rimworld get posted. I think I may just keep posting playthroughs until I finally beat this strange game. We'll see. Until next time, keep being weird and please don't play with fire.